I'm going to go ahead and get started. I know several of you obviously went through later in line, so you're finishing up. You won't offend me at all if you need to go back and get more drinks or more food. It doesn't offend me, so feel free to come and go as I'm speaking. Sometimes as I speak, not everybody pays attention. I'm kind of used to that, so don't worry about it. It won't hurt my feelings, right? Don't always listen. All right, I got a list of several thank yous, and by the way, if I miss anyone, that's by design. Coach Harden, that's why he's going second. He will fill in anybody I missed. If they don't get mentioned, it's because Coach Harden forgot to mention them. So I'm going to give my best stab at it first, though. First off, we would like to thank Shoney's and Dan Holt for catering our meal here tonight. As always, they did an excellent job. And then as we get on into the basketball part of it, obviously like to thank our school administration, Ms. Wallace and Coach Bell for their support, our county athletic director, Ms. Linda Tallman, who's here tonight for all their support from the administrative level, our junior varsity coaches, Coach Horton and Coach Carter. They're sitting on towards the back there, but we appreciate their effort this year. I also like to thank the media, as we like to call them, Brian Neese, Lance Stevens, Austin Coletti, and Mr. Paul Henry. I guess on the, if you watch a lot of TV, the media kind of gets a bad rap, the media-coach interaction and things, but that's not the case at all here. All of those guys have become really, really good friends and go above and beyond what they really have to do to help us and help kids. And we appreciate their friendship and appreciate their effort and everything they do to help our program. Also like to thank our scores table staff with Matt Slayton stepping in this year and doing the PA and the music. Jay Cavender for stepping up about halfway through the year and doing the scorebook. And Miss Janet Gardner for doing the scoreboard in every game. I also would like to thank Coach Harden and Coach Cavender. You guys have been around this more than just this year. Understand that Coach Harden and I go way back. I'm not going to get into how far back we do go and how much older he is than me, but we go way back. And he and I both, we throw ideas off each other, and some of those are pretty bad, and they never get seen by you guys. And some of them actually are decent, and so we use those. But he's a very good sounding board. And then since Coach Cavender's come on the last couple of years, and she and I teach together in the gym every day, and she's got a wealth of knowledge, wealth of experience, and a lot of good ideas, and she's helped me tremendously as a teacher and as a coach, and I'd like to thank those two for all their help and their friendship. Then I'd also like to thank Matt Prince. He was a senior my first year here, and he's continued to mature and grow up. Not that he was immature and not grown up when I first met him, but he's continued to do that. He does a really good job with our players. He's got a really good rapport with them. Does a nice job really this time of year in working out guys and girls also in the gym and working with younger kids that it's going to be several years before they're able to play in high school because they're 5th, 6th, 7th grade. But he does a nice job of that, and then during the season he does a really, really good job. And this year after Christmas we were able to get him where he could be in the gym the entire practice during fourth block because they were able to change exactly his teaching schedule. So that was also a big help. But Matt's also kind of made that transition from a player to a friend for me personally, which is kind of neat. And I appreciate his friendship and his effort and his work with our players. Then I would certainly be remiss if I didn't mention the Booster Club and the parents, and I think I need to mention those together because in some sports organizations it's a little bit different in how the Booster Club is organized, but this one, our Booster Club, is basically our parent organization. And Mr. David Sanders being the Booster Club president this past year, and then everyone else that kind of followed his lead did a nice job with golf tournament, concession stand, and really kicks in a lot of ways whenever we're a little bit short on money from what we can do from the school standpoint, and make sure that when we go to road games and we do things, we can try to do it in a top-notch way, and obviously that takes money. It's not the fun part to talk about, but we need it, and they do a nice job in providing that, and everybody working together and being unselfish about how they work together. And so I'd like to thank the Booster Club, and then also as a part of that, the parents, just from your support that you give, not really just with the Booster Club, but just support that you give at home. You can tell a lot of times, the longer I've stayed in this, the more you can kind of sort of get a pretty good read on how you've raised your children and kind of how you support them at home. And I know sometimes there's tough days whenever they come home from practice or a game, and there's things like that are tough to kind of deal with. But overall, I think you guys do a really, really nice job of staying positive and just helping keep your athletes' heads up, because not every day is going to be the best day in the world, and make sure they come back to practice or come back to the next game just ready to play hard and be coachable and try to get better, because I think we all understand we're all trying to get better, and you got to be unselfish about it. And I think the parents a lot of times set the tone in that, and you guys have done a nice job of that. So I definitely thank you guys. And last but most certainly not least, I'd like to thank my own personal family, Tori and my oldest daughter Grayson, youngest daughter Ansley. And Tori, a lot of times during the basketball season, we probably, Coach Hart and I both, and Coach Cavender, and we go different ways in scouting a lot. So that's probably 20, 25 nights that we're not playing that I'm out watching, Sheffield versus Lawrence County or somebody like that. So, and then you have the game nights and things like that. So there's probably, 45, 50, 60 nights that Tori has to, make sure we come home, kids get their homework, baths, bed, all that kind of stuff. And I really kind of just come in about 9:30 sometimes at night after going to scout a game or playing one of our games. So certainly appreciate Tori being a very good coach's wife and being very supportive and coming up with some good ideas. Sometimes I don't always listen, not in really basketball, but just off the court ideas about our team. She really doesn't get into whether we should play man or zone, but maybe sometimes I might need that help too. But definitely appreciate her. And then Grayson, doing her rebounding before the games and being a little student of the game that she's starting to be, and being excited about being at all the games and getting her posse of 5 or 6, 7, 8-year-olds down there rebounding and going crazy on the baseline during our warm-ups. Appreciate her. And then Ansley for all of her love and support and all of her love of a couple of our players, which is sometimes a little bit too far for me as a parent. She likes a few of our players a little bit too much, but that's okay. She's just 3. So if she was 15, we would be putting a real stop to it. One thing I forgot to mention about Tori that she did a nice job with, and some of you probably know this, it's sometimes, especially in the postseason, the biggest and best cheerleader in the gym. So I want to thank her for that. I think that gets through most of our thank yous, and now we're going to go on to the awards. We've trimmed these down over the years and trimmed them down a little bit this year. Sometimes they're pretty redundant, and so just thought I'd mention that. So Matt, if you will. No, I'll tell you what, just have a seat. I'm going to give out the certificates of participation first, and we'll start with the freshmen. We'll go in alphabetical order. I'll talk about these guys as a group. As a group, they did a really nice job. A few of these guys were not extremely experienced, didn't play a whole lot of junior high basketball, a couple of them. Some of them have played quite a while. But as a group, I thought they did a really nice job of coming over, working hard, starting back in late May, I guess, whenever we first had the tryouts, and then joining right in at team camp with us as we traveled and fitting in. And I think our older guys did a nice job of including them in everything that they did as well. But the younger guys did a nice job of finding their place in the program and working hard and being unselfish and understanding on a few practice days, they may not get as many repetitions in practice sometimes because we might have just a huge varsity game the next night, and but they were still there mentally focused. They may not be out there physically on the floor quite as long as some of the older guys on that particular practice or two, but they did a good job. They did a nice job of taking their junior varsity games seriously and their minutes in the high school games, and they got in there very seriously, and I thought they were excited about that, and they're excited to continue to work. All of these guys, since our season has been over, continue to come over in the afternoons and work on their game, and I think they're excited about trying out and trying to make the team again next year. And just like everybody else, got to make sure you keep getting better and keep doing what you've been doing, and just continue to raise your level of play. But that's our freshmen in a nutshell. And so right now I'll call all of them up and give a certificate of participation. So if you will, with these guys, if you hold your applause to the end, that would probably help us with time. Cyrus Blackwell. Tyler Boyette, Ruslan Gaines. Taylor Glagren. Abram Osgood. So that's our freshman class. Good job, guys. Then we have 5 sophomores. The first one, and these, if you'll notice, they're supposed to be alphabetical. If they're not, it's just my lack of education, I guess, coming back. But this first young man, he's not here. Got conflicting reports. I think he may be at baseball. If not, he's just not here. But anyway, he's Seth Bertarelli. He came in from Florida late July, missed all of team camp because he just transferred in and did a nice job trying to fit in. And like most sophomores, had some inconsistent moments, but also showed flashes that he's got a chance to be pretty good. And he had a really good attitude all year. And again, much like the freshman coming in late, he did a nice job of fitting in. So I would, even though he's not here, like to recognize Seth Bertarelli. Go ahead. This next young man, probably the only bad thing I can say is that he got sick too much. So we're going to have to work on that going forward. And we've talked about that, and he's actually trying to work on that going forward. But it's just one of those bad luck deals. But every time he was here, and he was here a lot, but it just seemed like about the time he was about to get on a pretty good little roll and, really kind of get a niche, something would set him back. And I think he did a nice job trying to battle through some of that. But, at the same time, it just happens. It's one of those things that happened this year to him. And set him back a little bit more than he or anyone else would like. But he did a nice job while he was here. He really improved quite a bit over the year from the course of the starting the summer through late February and even into now. He's just continued to grow and grow and grow as a player. And, I'm excited to see what he's going to do in the future. Very coachable, very unassuming in a good way. He blends in a nice way and is a consummate teammate as far as a coach's perspective. I think you'll find the players would say the same. He does a nice job in being unselfish and being a good teammate to play with, and that's Noah Sapak. This next young man is Alex Suzinski. He's one of the more consistent young men. I'm sorry, Alex, you jumped up there. My bad. He's one of the more consistent guys we've had as a sophomore as far as just everyday practice and coachability and attitude and effort and performance. Very consistent, very coachable young man, and that's Alex Suzinski. This next young man is very athletic, very quick. Sometimes he's maybe too quick, and we're trying to put the brakes on him a little bit. He's a little bit like a sports car, sometimes with no brakes, which that doesn't do you a whole lot of good to have a sports car that you can't put a brake on. So we're trying to install the brake pads right now and teach him how to slow down and how to do some things. But he does a nice job, and he really does. Maybe immediately doesn't show it quick enough and turn the page, but he really does try to be coachable. And right now we're trying to speed that process up instead of maybe making a mistake on a Monday and then finally figuring it out on Thursday and getting it in his head and going. 5 minutes later he understands, okay, this is what I need to do, and let's regroup and go play. And that's a young guy being young. That happens with a lot of young guys. But he's always in the gym a lot. He really likes the game, and I think he's going to be a nice player as long as he keeps working hard and has a good attitude, and that's Zacchaeus Tate. Our final sophomore missed quite a bit of time off and on, especially in the summertime, and then it kind of reoccurred middle of the year, maybe December into January, with some leg and knee and more ankle situations than anything. So that held him back a little bit. He's been a little bit undersized for the position that he's had to kind of play for us so far, but he does a good job in practice. Teammates seem to like him. He seems to be a good teammate. Everybody likes being around him. He's extremely good with magic, which really doesn't have anything to do with basketball, but that's surprising because because I had no idea until, I'd been around him for 3 months. I had no idea whatsoever. So he's really good at that, but he's a good kid, and enjoy being around him this year, and that's Colton Wicks. Okay, we're on to our juniors here. This young man missed all of the summer with a knee issue. He had played and actually started nearly every game as a sophomore. This year, he and another guy, Fred Boyd, they basically split time, and sometimes Ryan would start and then Fred would start. But this guy is also a good teammate. Works very hard. Is not a big spotlight guy as far as a ton of points and a ton of stats. But he does a lot of the little things that a lot of times wouldn't show up as a highlight, because he guards a lot of times the other team's best player. He is a lot of times undersized and has to do a nice job and really be fundamental as far as boxing out and rebounding. A lot of times at his position, he's called on to handle the basketball a little bit too, and really good young man, really very coachable, very competitive young man, very good academics, grade point average, and just overall pretty good young man. That's Ryan Hall. All right, our final junior, it sounds like I'm saying the same thing, but our team, I guess, in some ways was kind of boring because they're all the same. They're pretty quiet. They're pretty coachable. They're pretty good in the classroom. They stay out of trouble, and they work pretty hard. So they really are all like that. So it's not like I don't have an imagination and can't come with anything else. I'm just telling you the truth. So this young man is the same way. He did a really good job of actually trying to take on a little bit of a leadership role, not being demanding and not being just being overly bossy, but actually speaking this year, which was kind of unusual for him. He didn't speak a whole lot as a sophomore, which sometimes as a sophomore is not a bad thing, but as a junior, he's kind of every once in a while you'd hear him say something. It was kind of, at first I didn't realize that was him. I didn't know that was his voice, but he did a good job at kind of expanding on that and taking a little bit more of a leadership role, setting the example as far as work ethic, being very unselfish and being very coachable. By the end of the year, he became one of our best defenders. He was able to guard the other team's best guard or second best guard most nights, almost every night. He's not a very flashy player yet, and I'm not all for just all kinds of flash, Eli, but he's not very flashy yet. But what he does understand is, I'm not going to screw it up, and that'll help us. And so he does that a lot. And then now, we'll expand on kind of making a few more plays, more offensively and some stuff like that. But defensively, he did a really good, nice job, and offensively, he did a good enough job to blend in and do some nice things, and that's Eli Slayton. All right, Matt, now you can come up. You finished with your dessert?
I'm done.
You're down with round one? Okay. All right. First award we're going to give is the Falcon Award, and it basically combines everything that you could think of, basically a representative of Lincoln County High School basketball. And as I've just said, a lot of our guys are very, very similar, so it's not like there's one guy who's just definitely that guy. It was actually took a lot of thinking to try to figure out, okay, how do we separate these guys a little bit and award one guy? So there's probably several that you can make a case for. We needed to settle on one, and so this young man did a nice job in the classroom, did a nice job as a teammate, did a nice job in his performance on the floor, does a nice job in his work ethic off the floor. And all of those things are things that if you were creating a basketball player, you would want to put a check mark in all those categories. That's what you need to be a good player, to be a good teammate, and to have those kind of guys in your program. And so, again, I've already talked about this young man once before, but he was very consistent. He showed a level of toughness in our district tournament game. For those of you who didn't know, this is well, I'll tell you in a minute. This young man dislocated his finger, and I thought he was done for the game. And so he came back in on about 5 minutes later, came back and said, "Coach, I can go back." And we kind of sorted. It was nice to be able to play him some. And matter of fact, I actually put him in when he had 3 fouls and forgot that he had 3 fouls. I just knew he could go back in, so he went in. But they showed that's a lot of toughness. You know, a lot of guys just say, "You know what, I got a couple more years. Let me just worry about this later." But they showed a lot of toughness, a lot of unselfishness for his teammates. He didn't score, I don't think, in that game. Maybe he scored a bucket. But just playing defense and rebounding, and some of that was because we didn't want to call a lot of stuff to throw you the ball because we didn't know if you could catch it. We just knew that you could do the other stuff. So, and that young man for the Falcon Award this year is Alex Szynski. Our next award is voted on by their teammates. It's the most valuable player, and this is strictly a teammate deal unless there's a tie, and this year there was not a tie. This young man was counted on to do a lot of things for us, including leadership and work ethic and stuff on the floor as far as getting us into plays and handling basketball and defending and doing a lot of that kind of stuff. And he's an older guy, and sometimes older guys, about halfway through their senior year, they don't get a whole lot better sometimes. I thought this young man played his best basketball, and actually this senior class, which I'll talk about in a minute, but I thought they all did a nice job of playing their best basketball, their last games, which is what you hope for. But this young man did it as well, and his teammates voted on him as the MVP, and that's Xavier Tallyhide. All right, our last award before we get to the senior awards is our academic award, and we don't ever want to overlook academics. That's a major part of being a student athlete in high school. Thus, the student comes before the word athlete in that phrase. And so, again, we've got several who do a nice job in the classroom. We've got 1 or 2 who need to do better, but overall, they do a nice job in the classroom. And it was really close. In this particular category for the academic award. This young man does a nice job on the floor as well and was pretty productive for us, as I mentioned earlier. But in the classroom, he obviously excels as well with a 97.8 GPA, and that's Eli Slayton. All right, now on to our senior awards, and these we need to talk about these guys because, as I mentioned earlier, these guys did a really nice job. I kind of skipped over my notes, kind of summing up the year, but as a lot of you know, and probably won't forget anytime soon, we started off pretty rough. I know I won't forget that anytime soon. As far as our record, started off 0-6. Now some of that was. It wasn't like we were playing just chopped liver either. I mean, we were playing some pretty good teams. But anytime you do that and then you are able to stick together and be better at the end of the year, it's because you have good leadership among the players. And so obviously our seniors did a really good job with that. And as I mentioned a little bit ago, they did a nice job of playing their best basketball to a man. As I call these people up here, I think you'll be able to look at them and think about them in their last 5, 10, 12 games and say, yeah, that's the best basketball I've seen them play. And that's one of the few senior classes with this many people, with 4 guys in it, that you can say that about every one of them. So I think they did a nice job. I think they did a nice job of really leading by example, being very coachable, and getting us at the end of the year a whole lot better than what we were at the beginning of the year. We were doing basically the same stuff in practice. It was just finally kind of catching, and that starts with the older group usually, being very coachable and sticking with it. And our first young man has come a long way. He as a young guy, played post quite a bit because he was obviously just a little bit taller than everybody else. So sometimes they in their elementary age, and I would do it too, they get to play post. But if they don't grow a lot, then sometimes they become a 5'11", 6-foot post player as a senior, and that's kind of tough when you're playing AAA basketball. But this young man He still technically played the post for us, but he played outside a whole lot, outside the three-point line, and did a nice job of developing a nice shot from out there. He's one of our better shooters by the time it was all said and done. He was one of our best defenders. He was very, very active. He was just who he was every game. He played hard, made a few shots, and was a good teammate, and sometimes a little bit fired up. And that was good too, and showed a little bit of fire in that belly, so that was really good. And very, very proud of him, and that's Fred Boyd. This next young man, I don't know that there's exactly an award for it, but there's not. If there was, we'd already talked about him. But he and I have talked about this, and Matt have talked about this, but from November through February, he changed as much as any player that I've been around, and it was for the better. Not that it was just totally awful, but it was for the better, a whole lot better at the end of the year than what he was at the beginning of the year as far as just his production on the floor, his really taking things to heart in practice that you talked about and that you try to go over. And it's to his credit because, for 2.5 years he had shown progress, but not as much progress as he made probably after. Y'all okay over there? Okay. Not as much progress as he had made from December through February, and it's a credit to him. He really showed his full potential and played up to his full potential. He made all district in District 8 AAA for the regular season, and it was completely well deserved. Coaches throughout the last part of the year were continually telling to me about how well he was playing, and he's playing really, really well, and he continued to play well through our last game at Siegel. And I couldn't be more proud of the progress he made, particularly in his senior year, and that is Austin Grimes. Yeah, we're going to just set this aside. This next young man is he's not here tonight, and I asked our guys that are returning that I get to see every day about before spring break if he was still enrolled here, because he's very, very quiet, and so if he doesn't come into the gym, then he can go through school without me seeing him because I'm in the gym and he's up here, and so you just don't see him. So he did have word that I do know I talked to him about the banquet, but it may have just somehow over spring break slipped his mind. But I don't want to go without talking about him. He had a tough start to his senior year as far as just like all of us. Production on the floor and some of that type of stuff, but he, like the rest of this group, was very coachable. He has one of the best attitudes. I think if you polled everybody in our team, they would tell you that he never pouted. He just kept coming to practice every day and kept working hard. He hung in there and stayed coachable and found his niche, which is what it had been in the summertime, but he kind of got away from it a little bit just by pressing a little bit too much and trying to force, having a little bit of pressure on him and things like that. But I was really, really proud of how he came out of that. And he was one of our top 6 or 7 players by the time of the end of the year. And, that was a whole lot of progress from where he was before Christmas. And I couldn't be more proud of him. He's one of the best shooters that we've had here since I've been here. He'll probably be able to shoot the ball that way when he's 65 years old. So if you see him at the Patrick, make sure he's on your team. But he's very coachable, very good young man, and that's Trevor Jean. So I did want to recognize him. And this final senior, as I mentioned earlier, played a big role for us this year as far as a lot of statistical things, as far as a lot of the workload that gets in the spotlight a whole lot, as far as handling the basketball a lot because of the position he played. A lot of times he was counted on to, we really needed for him to score make a few baskets for us to have a pretty good shot at winning, and he did a nice job of that. But he continued to be unselfish, and it wasn't all about him. I think our whole team did a pretty nice job of that, especially as the year progressed. He's played a whole lot of basketball most of his career, and again, like I mentioned earlier, sometimes those guys kind of plateau. But I felt like he continued to get better, and he was one of our better guards in our district. He made all district in the regular season and in the district tournament, and he did a really good job this year. And in 3 years, he did a really good job. And that's Xavier Tallyhide. With that, I'll turn it over to Coach Harden. I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
You work quicker.
Trying to get 25.
If I forget anybody, it was because Coach Tiff forgot to tell me to put them on there. Okay, he's a lot younger than I am. I do want to, a lot of them will be repetition, but I would be remiss in not thanking those same people. Dr. Shelton, of course, the Director of Schools, all of our Lincoln County administration. Really want to thank Linda Tomlin for being here tonight. The things that she's done to facilitate helping our county get better. I do appreciate that. Going back to again to what Chad had to say about the about our booster club, and well, our program is made up of y'all. Okay. It's made up of these kids that put a lot of hard work in on boys and girls side, but the parents and the work that y'all do, and to look out there tonight and see a group of people that have come a long way. So I've seen you kids grow up, and to see you all work together, and it's the work that y'all put in, the work that David puts in as the president, the work that Jamie Slayton puts in when I send her a text about needing money tomorrow because I forgot it for a week, and her getting it to us. Ricky Gatlin putting in his time to get the concession stand put up. It's just all of y'all working together. Our program has gone from being completely broke almost, I guess, when we all first got here, to being the best in the bright. I mean, we give our kids a lot, and it's not me and Chad doing it, it's y'all. The time that y'all put in, and we really appreciate that. And I think as a group, the type of kids that we have on our team is really because of the parents and everybody that's here. We have just such a polite group of kids, and sometimes probably a little bit too polite. I'd like them to be just a little bit meaner at times, but if if having great kids won championships, we'd win it every year. So now we've got to put great kids along with being great basketball players. But but that being said, I do really want to thank on both sides of it, because the boys' side have got to work the concession stand while the girls are playing, so it all works together. Of course, Brian and Lance, we really want to thank them for what they've done every year. They've become great friends. I watched Lance play. Brian has gone back since the very first time that I showed up here, and he's become a great friend. His nephew Austin saves me a ton of time by doing the stats, and I only had to check him one time and to see how well he did. And he did a great job, and you can tell Austin from me, thank you. With a name like Austin, he has to be a UT fan, okay? And so be sure he gets that message. Paul Henry does so much for us. If you walk toward our dressing room, he takes a lot of pictures every year that he donates to the program. He occasionally catches me with a smile on my face during the game and actually puts that out somewhere. But Paul has become outstanding at knowing on both of us when to just not come up and say anything after a game. And so sometimes you may see a quote that he thought we probably would have said to him, you know, and stuff. So, but he does a great job, and we really appreciate it. I know that Matt Slayton had a thankless job this year of taking over and doing the sound and doing doing the music and all that kind of stuff. I thought, except for a few times when he played over the cheerleaders, I thought he was outstanding. Sorry about that, man. And we do want to thank the cheerleaders and Miss Posey and them for having them there and stuff also. I do want to thank, I've got this listed so I try not to leave people out, Coach Harton and Coach Carter for the work they did with the JV and coming over. It wasn't always easy, and I thank them for the help in the transition. This was a transition year, and change is not easy sometimes. And we want to thank their support and their help in that, and the cooperation and for that happening. Matt Prince just does a great job. We trade out. Mac's a big motivational book reader, YouTube type person. We trade those out. But he is as good at working individually with kids, with young people, as anybody I've ever seen. He's very, very good at it. And he expects a lot out of them, and he gets a lot out of them. And I appreciate everything that he does in helping us. In that same token, Coach Tips, I'm so old that he's old now. You know, he used to be kind of a youngster, but we kind of keep each other balanced out, and we have hall duty together. It's supposed to be parking lot duty, but it's been cold this year, so it's hall duty down at the end of the hall. So we have that together every morning. That we're able to talk, and it's our talks are very appreciative. We'll want to thank Jay also. Jay came in and did a great job mid-season, and it's just, you know, that kind of support in our program is what's really big. And we couldn't, 2 years ago, I was in Hawaii, and I learned that I had an assistant coach, okay? And I learned her name was Pat Cavender, and I had people calling me from everywhere, telling me how good a person and how much she was going to help my program. Well, they lied, okay? She's way better than what they ever thought, okay? And those of you that know Bill Martin in this room probably understand what I'm saying, but she has been an asset to our program, to our team. She's become a great friend. She's implementing some things, and I'm going to have her talk about a little bit because I can't stand up here and talk about stickers, okay? But I thought it was the dumbest idea I had ever heard in my life, okay? But it worked out well and thing. But she's a great friend, and also she does a great job coaching. She holds these young ladies accountable. Sometimes it's just best for me to be quiet and let her take care of business. All right, and she does just a really, really good job of that. And certainly, I did forget it one year, and I did forget to thank my wife one year. I put stars around it every year since then, because Chad threw me under the bus and reminded me and everybody else. But Michelle has a really good insight. She's worked with a lot of young people, so she has a really good insight to the mind of young people. And sometimes she's willing to share that, and it's helpful. Sometimes she's willing to just listen to me talk. And then sometimes she's wise enough to go put her earplugs in and go shut the door, and we'll talk the next day and things. So she's been a great support. She gave me great encouragement 12 years ago to take this job, and I love her very much, and I appreciate everything that she's done for me. I had forgotten someone that I was going to do it with, but I want to put them in the thank yous right now. I want to thank Hannah Brazier and Shayla Castillo for they did most of it. Some of the rest of them did some of it. Most of the filming for our team this year. They were very selfless about doing that. Nothing irritates me more than watching a film that I just have to see an empty court, okay? Because they got excited and didn't turn the camera with it. They did a great job, okay? I didn't scream maybe once or twice all year, but they did a fantastic job at that. I'm just going to hit a couple of high points that there's more people in here tonight because we added 2 this year, and added 2 when the freshmen moved in with the family up here. I said at the time that this was the perfect time with the perfect group of kids for it to happen, because it's not easy taking 15 kids and then making them 21 or 22 and putting them. It's hard enough for 15 kids to get along in one dressing room, but when you add 7 more in there, it was a change. But this group did a tremendous job, and it started with the top with Morgan. It really did, our senior, and it filtered right on down through everyone. And we have a bunch of very caring people on our team, and it went a long way toward making that transition. And I know that some people it was a sacrifice, okay? Change doesn't come without sacrifice. And it was a sacrifice, but I can tell you unequivocally that those freshman kids that are right now are further along than any group that we've had because of what they've done and the help that they got with these older kids. And I'm very proud of them, and I'm very proud of our team for making it that way. Touching on the season just for a short bit, like I said, it was a great group that was headed by Morgan. If you count wins and losses, our season wasn't as successful as we wanted it to be. These kids worked really hard. Some things you can't foresee is injuries. Some things, we had some unfortunate injuries at unfortunate times. We had some unfortunate games at unfortunate times and unfortunate shots. But these kids kept playing. And I'll have to, I was going to talk about it when she came up, but I'll just go ahead and put it here because I think it's a pretty good time to put it. There's probably been, I can't remember a time in my career of getting beat by 40 points and ended it with a smile on my face. But it happened this year, and it happened against Blackman and getting put out at the very last game. Allie Sandlin was in the game, and we're down 30s, 40s, okay? She gets the ball in the corner, and shoot and makes a three against these eventual state champions, national champions from last year. Haven't lost to a team in Tennessee in 2 years, but she hit a three against that team. And she had a huge grin on her face, which in turn gave me a huge grin, which he got, okay? And it was, and the thing that was really, really cool was it was her grin and mine, but our bench. Every person on that bench had a smile on her face. And that's what I was talking about, okay? And that's pretty cool. Okay. I'm going to start with the certificates, and it just so happens that these are in reverse alphabetical order, and Allie happens to be the first one. Come on up. I'll let you get clapped for when you go. Allie Sandlin is a freshman. She's going to be a really good player, and she's a great three-point shooter. All these kids are, like Chad said a while ago, they're working hard right now, wanting to get better, and I just want them to keep doing that with the same great attitude. Next one is a young lady that I've asked her to change positions. She's going to go back and forth between point guard and wing and do some different things. But she's one of those, she's the epitome if really, really nice, could win games, would be undefeated. But she's also a great basketball player and got a chance of being really, really good. And I'm looking forward to her progress. That's Emily Ogle. Since these are, like I said, in alphabetical order, very first day that this girl showed up in practice, we always run 2 laps before practice, okay, or jog 2 laps supposedly. Okay, well, this girl came in and she doesn't understand the word jog, okay, and she hadn't stopped since then, and things, and it's a credit to her that she has it, that she's kept going. She's worked very, very hard. She's done a really good job. She was all district and 8 AAA this year as a freshman, and that's voted on by all the coaches in the district. So she's very well deserving of that. Sloan Man. This freshman also started for us quite a bit this year. Bethany went down with some injuries, and so she kind of got thrown into the fire and did a great job. She's working hard on perfecting each part of her game, working on her game, but her attitude is great. Can't hardly keep her out of the weight room. She loves to do push-ups more than any kid I've ever seen and stuff. But she did a great job. Looking forward to her getting a lot better. Brianna Faulkner. We did some baseline testing as far as athletically, how high you can jump, how far you can jump, how much you can lift, all of that, things like that. One of the players that really shows up athletically for us, and I think she's just going to get better and better and better. We've completely revamped her shot. She's bought into that. She's doing a great job. Looking forward to her getting better. Reagan Donovan. This player came to practice every single day. She's the only player that we had all year that didn't get to suit up on the varsity. She was ineligible to do that. You would have never been able to tell it by her work ethic, of how hard she worked, how much she wanted to work, how helpful that she was. I already talked about her as a filmer, but she did a great job off and on the court. I appreciate everything that she did this year. Shayla Castillo. And the other lady is I think the last freshman was the other half of the film crew, but is also part of the basketball team that's working hard every day and working to get stronger, working to be a better shot. They're all great teammates, but she's working. I think she's going to start doing some stuff with Matt too. She's going to get better and better and better, and that's Hannah Brazier. I've had one person that called in sick tonight, wasn't here. Brianna worked hard at what and tried to get a better player this year, and I appreciate what she brought to the program. But Brianna Flynn, but she's not here. If this kid plays up to her athletic ability, she can be a really, really good player for us. She's a really good athlete. She can shoot the basketball. She can probably play a couple of different positions. Got to get a little bit stronger, but just keep working. And her name's Brooke Ferguson. I have 3 kids that moonlight as soccer players. This is one of them, but she came on and played a lot for us toward the end of the year. One of the things about soccer players is I don't think that they avoid contact. It doesn't matter. Contact doesn't really bother them, and some of them may inflict a little bit more than others, but this player here did a really good job. She's a guard. She handled the ball for us well a lot, and she ended up starting several games toward the end of the year. Looking forward to working with her next year at Cardiff Fee. This next player did everything that we asked out of her this year. No complaints. She was hurt part of the year. But every practice, she gave everything that she had and did everything that she could for us. Cheyenne Counts. Same can be said for this player. You know, it's hard coming to work every day and maybe not getting the acclamations or that everyone else gets. But a lot can be said about you, about how hard that you come and how hard that you work. And this player did that for us, Macy Corder. This is another one of the soccer players. And if you're about 5'10" and you're guarding her, you're in trouble, okay? Because her elbows are right here. That's about 5'10", okay, and she doesn't mind the contact. All right, she's working hard right now. Has a chance of being very, very helpful and a very good player for us. I understand all of these kids are really good soccer players. I'm glad that she's agreed to split that time and be part of us because she's got a chance of being really good. Lauren Bradley. Go to our juniors. This young lady was hurt quite a bit of the year. She came back, got re-hurt, came back. she's working hard, so right now, so that those injuries may not come back as much. She's a huge part of our basketball team when she's healthy, and she brings a presence to the court. But she's one of the best teammates that you could ever find, because it didn't matter whether she was in the game, out of the game. Coach Cavender calls it edifying all the time. But she was very good at uplifting her teammates, and she did a great job of that. And that's Samantha Williams. This player had been known probably most of her basketball life as a shooter, okay? I think this year she transitioned not only from being a shooter, but being a defender and being a rebounder. And especially late as the year went on, did a great job of playing the top of a zone. I'm sorry. We don't like to play zone a lot, but it got better for us as the year went on. But one of the reasons it did was because of the play of this young lady. She's working hard on her game right now to improve all parts of it, but she already is, and will be much better. Brianna Sanders. And the third soccer player sure doesn't mind contact. Okay, and Dee is someone who really comes in and is an instant presence physically in the game. I thought she did a good job offensively this year. She's got to transition a little bit more to a guard next year, facing the basket a little bit more. But we really we need her to be able to do that, to be as successful, and she's working hard in that direction. But she does a great job in support of her teammates, and that's Darian Norman. This kid was hurt all but about 9 games, I guess, 9 or 10. When she came back late in the year, she showed what she meant to our team. She came back, played 10 or 11 minutes the first game, and then after that, she played up into the 20s, even when she was out of breath a little bit and things. But she has a chance of being really, really good. She has a chance of playing somewhere beyond if she continues to develop and wants to develop the way that she does right now. And looking forward to her getting better. She's one of our team captains, and she did a great job of it. Bethany Lehman. Kind of a recurring theme is that we've talked about a lot of kids being hurt, and this kid was hurt, sick quite a bit. When she came in, I thought she was going to be really help us a lot, especially on the defensive end of the floor. Great defender, on the ball defender, a lot of quickness. Just couldn't stay healthy. A great teammate. Wanting her to get healthy and be able to help us next year. But she did a great job in the role, whatever that we asked her to do this year, and still doing that. Lily Foster. Coach Tips could have probably have helped this girl early in the year if he had have told her how hard it is to play point guard for Coach Hart. Okay, it's a tough position to play. asked her to make that transition from playing the two guard on the wing where she got to shoot a lot more and defend to playing point guard. And playing point guard at this level is really, really tough. And I thought as the year went on, she got better, and as she got better, we got better. And the good part about it is that she's going to get the start. She's starting right now to be better, and she's so far ahead of where she was last year at this time. So that just in itself is going to make us better. But she kept it with a good attitude. She kept her head up, and I kept asking her, you want me to change position with you? And kept saying no. And I'm glad she did because she's really improved a lot, and I expect her to improve a lot more and to carry us to a lot more victories next year. McKinley Fitch. Mike was one of our captains also. And last, but only because it's alphabetical order going the other way, is this kid has a chance of being a really, really, really good defender. When she wants to turn it on defensively, she can stay in front and give anybody a lot of trouble. And keeping that focused and doing that, working on other parts of her game, is going to be a big, big help to us. And I just hope that she continues in that role and accepting that role and working hard in it. But if that's the case, she can guard anybody that we put her in front of, and that's Chelsea Gattle. Okay, before I get to the final part of the awards, Coach Cavender, on her own, has a couple of things that she wants to hand out and things, and I'll turn it over to her for a couple of minutes.
This goes along with the stickers that I gave out, and Coach Harden graciously has allowed me to do this. So the first one goes for staying after 85 times after practices, and it goes to Sloan Man. This looks like the stickers for those of you that didn't get one. And the next one is very, very important to me. It's something I believed in when I played, and it takes a lot of courage to lead the team taking charges. And this goes to Mo. And I just want to say I love my job.
If all the juniors take to heart the way Mo did to the taking charges, as I told her that last year as a junior, she took 0 charges, okay? And I told her you couldn't be a leader unless you took charges. And she took 14 of them this year. And if you get 14 of them called, you take a lot more, okay? You get in front. They weren't pretty, but they counted as a turnover for the other team, so you did a great job. Morgan was also all-tournament in 8 AAA, and Morgan, she was also all-district in 8 AAA. The all-tournament team was picked out of 4 teams that went to Tullahoma, and that was picked by a committee over there, of which I wasn't on. Okay, it was Jerry Mathis led, but she did a great job all year as our senior. I'm kind of probably getting ahead of myself a little bit on that, but she has decided that she's going to continue her playing career at Wallace State, and I think that's very good because it goes, if you talk about student athlete, it's kind of hard to talk about someone that does the things that she's done athletically for us and then still be the top person that she has been in the classroom. Because the first award that we're giving on that is the academic award, and Morgan slid by with that with a 99.98 average. The MVP was voted on again, and that was pretty a no-brainer. That was someone that led us in scoring and rebounding, led us in most offensive categories and a lot of defensive categories. But it was someone that we were dependent upon night after night to go out and do a good job for us. And the MVP for the teammate voted on was Morgan Higgins. Now, the Lady Falcon Award was like, I was a lot like Chad. I mean, I could have put names in a hat and drawn them out, and it could have been anybody. It really could have. And this was by far the hardest choice, just because there are just so many kids on this team that do a great job. But there had to be one winner, and Coach Kavanagh and I talked about it, but ultimately it came down to just overall of player, helping teammates, just everything, and that's Bethany Lehman. And I won't have to spend a lot of time talking about our senior awards, okay? Except it's, for a coach, it's really, really fun to watch kids develop, okay? And to watch Bree, if I had some way of having a film of Morgan doing her push-ups, you would have so much hope, okay? Because it looked kind of like a slinky, I guess, you know. There wasn't anything planked or flat about it. It was just, but she kept working, and she kept working, and she kept working. And then as the more she worked, she actually started putting weight on that bar. So she has come, you know, so far, such a long way. And from her sophomore year of being in the weight room, of doing things offensively on the court, and doing all that with the academics that she put together. And what she put together academically this year, because we had talked about it before the season, before school started, and told her that she needed to take the toughest classes that she could take. And she did, and did well at every one of them. And I don't know how in the world you have a 99.98 and don't move up, but that's just the way it is. All right, but you've led us in everything that you've done. You were a great captain. I wish you the best as you go down to Wallace State, and it's been great coaching you. Morgan Higgins. that was you clearing your voice over there for after after this is over, and it's fixing to be over. If you've received an award, Paul Henry needs to see you to get a picture. Okay. Those of you that didn't get an award, understand that awards are won by teams. Okay. And speaking for Chad and especially for my team, because I'm around them every day, y'all were the epitome of a team. And I loved the season you had. I loved having every one of you there. And I'm very grateful to be able to continue on with that. So that being said, has anyone else got any business? Coach, you good? Coach, you good? All right. Thank y'all for coming out.